All right. All right.
Yes po.
All right. So let's go direct to the questions that I've given you. No. So what are the four main factors to consider in planning, design, and building health facility? Explain each and why it is important and give examples. The question is para humaba yung answer nyo. You were already um, apprised of how the exam will take place, no? Pati yung gagamitin yung uh, platform. Uh, Nicole, na-review na kayo doon?
Hindi pa po.
Hindi pa rin. Oh, anyway, ito is, wala pa pala yun. No? But anyway, you need to write a lot, no, or type a lot para dun sa platform na yun for the answers. Kaya hinahabaan ko yung questions para marami kayong may leeway kayong habaan din yung answer and expound. So, the first question of what are the four main factors to consider in planning, design, and building a health facility. There are four: environmental issues, safety and security issues, accessibility, location, and legal zoning and compliance. For the first one, in environmental issue, the environment surrounding a hospital significantly affects health outcomes. The facility should not be located near the sources of pollution, such as factories, dump site, railroads, or areas prone to flooding. For example, a hospital located beside a major highway or industrial plant may expose patients to noise and air pollution, which can hinder their recovery. Now, meron tayong makikita mga ganyang hospital malapit sa highway, malapit sa airport, but sa regulation ng DOH, hindi dapat nabibigyan ng uh, permit to construct pero naitatayo, nabibigyan pa rin ng license. I do not know, but this is the most of the lectures that I'm giving you are from the Department of Health manuals. And letter B, number two, for the four main factors. Maraming factors, but the main factors are this. In number two is safety and security issues. Hospital must be structurally sound and equipped with features to ensure safety of patients, like and staff and visitors. This includes multiple emergency exits, fire-resistant materials, and some buildings like earthquake-proof designs, like St. Luke's, yung mga big hospitals natin. Ano. Example, a hospital designed with wide fire exits, smoke detectors, which is a requirement nga pala by the fire department. If you plan to build a hospital, kukuha ka pa rin ng permit sa fire department. Lalagyan, ang requirement ngayon, meron ng mga sprinklers, and reinforced walls. Yung iba, kailangan merong for earthquake, no? That ensures a secure environment during disasters. Number three, yung accessibility and location. The hospital must be accessible to the community it serves. It should be near the public transportation and roads to ensure quick access, especially for emergencies. Example, locating a hospital near a major road network allows ambulances and patients to reach the facility quickly during emergencies. Na may mga hospitals na malayo sa mismong population niya, no? I do not know why, pero may mga ganong hospital, especially in the provinces. And number four, yung legal zoning and compliances. The planning and construction must adhere to national and local building codes, zoning regulation, and the Department of Health guidelines, no? So, hospital administrators, dapat meron tayo nun. It's downloadable, nasa internet naman, yung mga guidelines nila when you plan to build a hospital. Tapos, i-direct na rin kayo kung ano pa yung mga kailangan requirement, like sa Bureau of Fire, sa DNR, kasi partner lahat yan, ang dami ng mga licenses na kukuhanin before you can be licensed as a health facility. So, Buildings intended for other purposes should not be converted into hospitals without proper compliance. I think I have lectured this, no? Yung mga buildings na hindi intended for hospital should not be made into or retrofit into hospitals. But I think hindi na naman nasusunod because even our own hospital in San Juan, it's an old town, city hall na ginawang hospital. Pero nalisensyahan, no? For example nito, yun yung sa amin, o kaya isang warehouse cannot be legally converted into hospital without obtaining or change of use permit and modifying the structure like what we did here, no? To meet the health facility standards. Ang hirap gawin pero nagagawa. And second question, enumerate and explain the importance of 7 hospital facility and maintenance requirements. You may give examples. Number 1 sa 7 is lighting. Yung mga ilaw, liwanag, adequate lighting ensures that medical procedures are performed accurately and that both patients and staff can function efficiently. Even yung mga hallways, may mga hospitals na didilim, siguro nagtitipid sa ilaw. Siguro when you construct a new hospital, consider using the natural light, yung mga roofing na transparent, consider that kung nagtitipid kayo, or to be environmental friendly, consider niyo yun. An example is, halimbawa, surgical theaters require intense shadow-free lighting for precision during the operation. No? Yun sa lighting na yun. Importante rin yan. Yun sa operating room, hindi mo pwedeng lagyan ng basta ng natural light. Pwede rin siguro kasi in a hospital where I operated in Hulo, maraming actually mukha siyang bintana pero maliwanag lang kasi sa Hulo sanay sila na laging may brownout. So during operation, pagka walang headlight yung doktor na nag-oopera, kung umaga or hapon, may ilaw pa rin siyang makikita coming from the nakaikot sa kanila. Merong glass lang. So hindi siya window, hindi mo siya mabubuksan, pero naka-glass lang kasi sa operating room dapat sarado. So, importante yung lighting. So, letter B, ventilation, proper air circulation, maintains air quality and reduces the risk of airborne infection. It also improves comfort. For example, yung isolation rooms with negative pressure and ventilation help prevent the spread of infection or tuberculosis, no? And sa mga hospital in Metro Manila, especially private hospitals, air condition na yung mga rooms and even nurses stations, no? Pero sa mga provinces, open talaga siya. So, kailangan maganda yung ventilation doon. Hindi pwedeng sarado yung hallway to hallway pag nandun siya kasi paano lalabas yung kailangan may exhaust fan silang malaki doon. So, importante yung ventilation when constructing or planning to build a hospital. Lighting, ventilation. And number 3, auditory and visual privacy. Hospitals should ensure patients' confidentiality and comfort by reducing unnecessary noise and ensuring private interaction. For example, private cubicles in the outpatient department prevents other from overhearing consultation para may privacy sila. And number 4 or letter D is water supply. A hospital must have an adequate potable water supply for drinking, sanitation, and medical procedure. For example, in the operating rooms and sterilization units requires continuous clean water for instrument cleaning and hand hygiene. I've been to a lot of hospital in the provinces. Sometimes when we do operations, sometimes there are no water, tabo-tabo lang. May nagbubuhos sa'yo habang gi-scrub ka, which is actually after mo mag-scrub, kailangan mo pang mag-alcoholize na naman ang kamay mo because you're not sure of the water that's being used kasi hindi siya free flowing from the faucet, no? And I always say this, in building a hospital, there should always be a reserve water pump. Kahit may nakakabit kang water pump kasi anytime pag nasira siya, mawawala ng tubig ang buong hospital and it's really unnecessary equipment in a hospital. So, for administrator, tignan niyo yung mga hospital niyo, kailangan meron kayong standby na water pump na anytime masira yan, the maintenance people, ikakabit lang nila. It will take less than 30 minutes or an hour para maikabit yon. Kasi pag wala kayong tubig, pag nasira ang pump, nasunog, nangyayari yon, nangyari sa amin yon, may ready kami agad na pump. No? So, pag yung nasunog na yon, it's either ipagawa mo or bumili ka uli ng bago. It's a requirement. Remember that. Next is waste disposal. Hospital must have a system for disposing liquid and solid waste according to the legal and environmental standards. For example, infectious waste is disposed of using color-coded bins in the hospital, tsaka yung mga plastic, yung mga color-coded siya, and sent for incineration or autoclaving or outsource na nagpipick up sa inyo. Here in our hospital, pinipick up ang aming mga waste. And we also have the sewage treatment plant for our liquid waste. So it's a requirement for a hospital na meron laging STP, whether it's a small hospital or a big hospital, meron ka laging for liquid waste, yung sewage treatment plant. Even when you want to open a hemodialysis center or cancer center, lahat ng waste product niyan, kailangan may STP ka. Pag wala nun, hindi ka makakapag-open ng gano'n. Okay, and the last one that is, the parking facility. A hospital should have a parking facility. Designated parking spaces are needed for staff, visitors, and emergency vehicles to ensure convenience and traffic flow. Example, hospital should have reserved ambulance bays close to the emergency department for quick patients transfer. And siguro mas importanteng merong parking space reserved for the doctor who's on duty at the emergency room. Kung meron kayong doctor, dapat meron siyang talagang parking para sa kanya on duty. Mas importante pa yun kesa sa parking ng director ng hospital, I believe, no? Kasi the hospital, yun yung main purpose mo eh. So, kailangan ka may emergency room, may emergency doctor doon. The medical director can wait, can park, or can, hindi emergency yung gagawin niya, although importante rin, but mas importante yung parking space nun. So, when allocating a parking space, a limited parking space, laging meron si emergency physician. But it's a requirement for a hospital to have a parking facility. When we started in our hospital here, wala kami nun. Talagang kung saan-saan lang. Papark ka sa labas, magbabayad ka sa parking na sa labas, but wala rin. But now we have a parking facility. It's a building na, parking building. Okay. And the last one is maintenance, sanitation, and housekeeping. So these are the 7 hospital facility maintenance requirement. Just give example para yung 7 yung last is maintenance, sanitation, and housekeeping. Facilities and equipment must be regularly cleaned, maintained to ensure functionality, hygiene, and safety. An example is routine maintenance of even air conditioning system in the ICU ensures infection control and patient's comfort. No? Okay, for the third question, what are the different zones of the hospital? Explain each and give examples. There are 5 zones in the hospital. The first zone is the outer zone. These are these areas that are open to the public and often the first point of contact So ano to? These are the emergency room, outpatient department, and admission office, and these are located here at the outer zone for easy access. The second zone, these are or the second zone, these support diagnostic services that receive patients from the outer zone. An example nito, laboratory, radiology, and pharmacy, and they should be near the outpatient department for convenience. The next one is the inner zone, the third one. Inner zone, these are the patient care areas such as wards, nursing stations that require more privacy. An example is the medical surgical wards where patients are confined for extended treatment. Um, and the fourth one is the deep zone. These are critical areas that require strict aseptic condition. Example of this are operating rooms, the intensive care units, the delivery rooms that are located here and kept sterile. And the fifth zone or the service zone. These zones require all hospital activities and are placed away from public areas. For example, the dietary kitchen, the maintenance workshop, mortuary, these are located in the service zone to minimize disruption. Now, um, the next one, the fourth question is what are the 6 operational functions of the or services of the hospital and how are they functionally related and complementary to each other? Explain and give examples. 6 operational functions. One is meron kang emergency service. Emergency service handles critical and life-threatening cases and must be easily accessible on the ground floor. An example of this is an ER with direct access for ambulance facilitates rapid triage and stabilization. No? Dapat walang naka-block doon. Basta meron ka emergency service. Excuse me, may kumakatok lang. 1 minute.
Okay po, Doc.
Sorry, Animal Rights Day kasi ngayon meron kaming activity later this afternoon para sa dan sa dito rin sa San Juan for sa Pinaglabanan Shrine. Dinala lang yung mga gamit. So where were we? Emergency service, no? The next one is administrative service. Manages patients registration, records, billing, and hospital operations. An example of this, the admitting and cashier section are near the main entrance, while the executive offices are in a secured private areas like the medical director, the admin, the offices, no? The offices. Nasa secure private area sila. Now, then the third one, yung surgical services, it provides operative procedures in a sterile environment. It must be isolated to maintain asepsis. Example, the operating rooms are placed close to sterile supply and ICU for easy post-surgical monitoring. The next one is delivery services. This caters to maternal care and childbirth. It requires privacy and sterile conditions similar to surgical units. An example, the delivery rooms are located near the NICU, the neonatal intensive care unit for immediate newborn care. The next one, number 5, is nursing service. It involves inpatient care and should allow nurses to monitor patients efficiently. Example, the nurse stations are centrally located on each floor to oversee multiple rooms or on each ward to oversee multiple beds. So number 6, Number 6 is the dietary service. It prepares patients' meal and ensures nutritional support. It should be far from the morgue for hygienic purposes. Example, remember in our lecture, no, magkasama sa zone 5 yung dietary and morgue, but they should be far from it kasi meron naman kasama rin nila yung maintenance, yung laundry, nandun lahat yun eh. Magkalayo sila for hygienic purposes. An example of this, the hospital kitchen is connected towards through a dumbwaiter. Siguro meron pa kayang mga ganun yan. In the old hospitals, may mga dumbwaiter eh. The kitchen sa dietary services, parang merong silang service elevator na maliit. No? Siguro size lang ng mga 3 or 3 feet or 2 feet or 3 feet by 3 feet na maliit na box. Shoot nila din yung mga pagkain tapos mali-lift na yon going to floors kung saan sa may mga wards or nurse station pipick upin yun ng mga kanilang dietary utility workers to distribute sa mga ward. Pero ngayon hindi ko na nakikita siya. Usually ang gamit sa dietary ngayon yung mga trolleys, meal trolley system for food delivery. Okay? For question number 5, as a hospital administrator, how would you divide the services and function of your hospital in terms of space allocation and why? Please give example. From our lessons of this subject, it was said that there are 2 spaces that the hospital functions can be divided. The admin service and the clinical service. But the question is, but as a hospital administrator, no? Sige, basing from that, dalawa lang. But I would allocate space, your answer would be, you allocate space based on the functional zoning and patient's flow, infection control, and department proximity to ensure efficiency and safety. So dalawa nga siya, pero meron kang 5 zones ng hospital. So you will divide it like in that way kasi functions, no? Gagamitin mo itong functions na to. Paano mo siya ilalagay? Di ba meron din sa lecture na ilan yung services na meron meron siyang surgical, meron siyang delivery, meron siyang emergency, meron siyang nursing service. Doon mo ilalagay yung mga function areas na yan. So to answer this, I would allocate space based on functional zoning, patient's flow, infection control, and departmental proximity to ensure efficiency and safety. For example, no, gagawa ka dun sa mind mo when you're answering this question. Gagawa ka sa mind mo. Halimbawa, I'm building a 2-story hospital or a 3-story hospital. Where will I put the areas that I need to place? Like, for example, ang nasa isip ko, gagawa ako ng 3 floors na building. 3 floors lang. Yun lang yung kaya ng budget nitong company na to. So, sa ibang companies na na nagkukonsulta sa akin, pag nagtanong sa akin, natatanong sa kanila, magkano ba ang budget nyo? Ilang floors ang kailangan nyo? So, from there, doon ko dinidivide kung saan siya ilalagay. No? So, sa pag sinabi nilang 3 floors o kaya 5 floors, pag ganun nagawa ang trabaho, no? Kung usually 2 and 3 floors lang yung kaya, no? But yung mga big buildings na nilalagay o kaya limited yung space, tinataas nila. Vertical sila gumagawa. Pero yung mga nasa probinsyang malalaki yung lote nila, mas malalapad na buildings, mas lesser ang trabaho kasi kung 2 floors lang kaysa yung mas mataas na nagmamahal yung kanilang buildings. No? So, kung halimbawa 2 floors lang, gagawin ko, I will divide the ground floor, it will have the emergency room, the outpatient clinics, the admitting offices, the business offices for immediate public access. For example, having that triage and ER at the entrance minimizes delays in emergency care. Yung sa kasama rin sa ground floor, nandun din yung secondary zone, yung laboratory, imaging, x-ray, CT scan, and pharmacy positioned near the outpatient services. Basta nasa zone 2 ka. No? So, patients from OPD can easily access or proceed to the laboratory for diagnostics. Sa second floor, nalagay ko na dun yung inner zone ko. Second floor, nandun na yung mga wards, medical, surgical, pediatrics, the nurse station for private patients care. Example of these are the medical surgical wards, group mo na siya for efficient nurse rounds, and medication delivery. Kasama ko na rin sa second floor kasi 2 floors lang siya, or 3 floors siya. Kasama ko na rin dun yung operating room, the rooms natin, yung delivery rooms, ICU for strict aseptic procedures. Nakahiwalay lang yan. Kung nasa left yung secondary, yung what do you call it, the third, the inner zone, nandito naman sa kanan yung deep zone ko, yung mga operating room. Kasi yung inner zone, yung third one is yung mga wards, di ba? So the deep zone, talagay siya sa kanan para hindi talaga sila laging mapupuntahan. So ng kahit na sino, no? Talagang yung authorized lang. Like for example, sa operating room, yung mga mag-o-opera lang or yung may business lang doon, hindi pwedeng pupunta doon ng dalaw or kung may bantay unless ipatawag siya, no? And then the last one, meron ka pang kulang, yung service zone mo, dietary, kitchen, housekeeping, maintenance, mortuary. Kung halimbawa 2 floors ka lang, the mortuary pupunta siya sa likod ng hospital usually, no? Even the dietary, the housekeeping, nandun sila sa areas na hindi talaga sila pinupuntahan. But remember, mas magkalayo si dietary at saka si mortuary, no? Kitchen near service, o kaya minsan kung may elevator, yung kitchen, mas malapit siya doon kasi mas madaling-daling yung mga pagkain. Remember, dami nilang dala, araw-araw yun, 3 meals a day. Meron pang mga hospital na merong merienda, morning at saka afternoon, no? Naranasan ko yan sa St. Luke's eh. Merong merienda. So, this space allocation supports smooth workflows, patient privacy, infection prevention, and compliance with DOH standard. Now, remember that. So, do not just answer na pag tinanong how will you divide, kasi dalawa lang naman talagang division ng hospital. Sa totoo lang, clinical and administrative. But you have to follow the 5 zoning of the hospital. Okay? Any question? Kung wala kasing question, magpupunta na tayo sa QA review. If there are none, let's go to quality assurance. Okay. For quality assurance, there are also 5 questions prepared for you, but 3 lang ang kukuhanin dito ng mga examiners. So, the first question is what is quality assurance and why it is important in healthcare? Expound your answer and give examples. Quality assurance kasi it can be used in not just in healthcare, kahit sa car manufacturing or canned goods manufacturing, ginagamit yung quality assurance. But for healthcare, it is a systematic process of ensuring that health services meet established standards of quality, safety, and effectiveness. Yung tatlo na yun, quality, safety, and effectiveness. It involves continuous monitoring, evaluation, and improvement of care delivery to ensure patient satisfaction and optimal health outcomes. No? So remember that word continuous. No? The subject is quality assurance in healthcare. But to the Department of Health, this is called continuing quality improvements. Sinimplihan nila para kasi masyadong broad ang quality assurance, pwedeng gamitin sa kung saan-saan yung companies, no, hindi lang pang healthcare. So sa atin, ang tawag niya is CQI, continuing quality improvements. Nakafocus siya doon. So QA per se as our subject is crucial because it builds trust between the hospital and the patients. It ensures safe medical practices and aligns services with legal and ethical standards. For example, implementing regular audits in medication. Medication administration can reduce errors and improve patient's care. Patient safety, I mean, meron ba kayo niyan sa hospital nyo? Remember that, diba? Kailangan may regular audits. Sa atin, ang nakikita kong regular audits sa mga department dahil may audit tayo, pinapresent mo yung mga cases, lalo kung nagkaroon ka ng morbidity, mortality, nag-audit yan. Pero yung cases, when you're still a resident, pinapresent yan lagi, no? Lahat ng gagawin ng pasyente, lahat ng uoperahin mo, every week meron kayong conference with the department, ipipresent mo yung mga kaso. No? That's one good example ng quality assurance. Pero kulang pa yon, no? So, number 2 is discuss Kaizen's approach and its 5S as one of the many quality assurance methods and give examples. Kaizen's approach promotes continuous incremental improvement involving all employees. Ang simple lang yan, no? Promotes continuous incremental improvement. And then, again, nandun yung continuous. No? If you go to Japan, nakita niyo yung mga hospitals sa Japan. I had a chance of training in laser surgery in Kamakura. It's a short course. It's 6 weeks na course in Kamakura in Japan. Ang sa kanila, lahat ito, sabi ko, ang ganda-ganda na nung hospital, the patient, the staff are all hardworking. Ang ganda magtrabaho sa Japan. Pero sa kanila, tuloy-tuloy pa rin nilang ginagawa itong Kaizen's approach. It is based on the idea that small daily improvements lead to long-term major gains. Pero may meeting dun every week attend kami. Hindi ko maintindihan kasi Japanese yung mga salita nila. Nakikita ko lang even the presentation. Nakikita ko lang siya. Pero pinag-uusapan nila the small things that they do. No, ang ganda na ng ginagawa nila, may protocol na sila. Maya yung protocol na yan, nababago nila because nag-i-improve sila. No? Small things, importante sa kanila. Daily improvements lead to long-term major gains. So what are the 5S of Kaizen? The Seiri, S-E-I-R-I, or in English, sort. The meaning is eliminate unnecessary items. Parang it's an antonym of hoarding, no? Ikaw, alisin mo yung nag-hoard. Tanggalin mo na yung mga hindi kailangan dyan. Huwag mo na i-stock. Removing expired drugs, for example, from the pharmacy. Ayun, importante. Talaga naman tinatanggal yun. Kasi pag nakita ka nag-check ang Department of Health at nakakita ng expired drug, even yung mga 3 months before expired, hindi mo pwedeng katwiran hindi na po ginagamit yan. Walang ganon. Kailangan alisin mo na yun doon or i-dispose nyo na talaga. And then the next one is Seiton, set in order. Organize necessary items for easy access. An example is labeling and arranging drugs, surgical instruments, or sa records in the order of usage, no? Kinilabel nila lahat, ang dali lang kuhanin, mas madali kasi yung hanap-hanapin mo na naman at nawawala pa. Saan nakalagay ito? Kung hindi sila alphabetical, kung sa atin lang, sa mga bahay natin, siguro mapapractice natin to yung sa rep natin, sa refrigerator, yung mga binibili mong food, di ba? First in should be first out. Kaso sini-stack dun ni-stack ni Yaya dun sa likod hanggang sa hindi mo na makita, lahat na lang yung nasa harapan. Dapat pala yung dumadating sa yung bago, nandito muna sa harapan, yung dumadating nilalagay mo sa likod para pakuha ka lang ng pakuha. Medyo mahirap, pero that is how the Japanese do it. So, the next one is yung Seiton pala is set in order. No? You organize item for easy access. Yun siya. Tapos, the third one is Seiso. S-E-I-S-O. Or shine. The word itself, shine, pakintabin mo. Paano siya kikintab? Siyempre, linisin mo. Clean the work area regularly. No? So, parang maganda naman siya organized, ano, Saton, Sari, Saton, and Saisol. Sabi niya, tanggalin mo yung mga hindi na kailangan. Then, tapos, labelan mo, put in order, organize mo sila, and then pag naka-organize, linisin mo na sila. So, tuloy lang siya. Then, the fourth one is standardized or seiketsu, standardized. So, each norms and procedure is standardized, no? Tinanggal mo yung mga sobra, sabi sa Sari, sort, then you set in order, inorganize mo na siya, nilabel mo siya, nilinis mo siya, and then you make a protocol how will you for example, in getting the drugs, kung paano mo siya i-order kung bago siya maubos. Gagawa ka na ng protocol doon tungkol doon sa ginawa mo, sa tinanggalan mo, nilinis mo. Hindi porket nilinis mo lang siya, nilabel mo siya, tapos na siya. Nilalagyan nila ng documentation protocols para uniform, para yung mga susunod na mag-duty, alam nila hindi lang isang tao. Meron na after matagal na nakasulat siya, documented at with protocols, no? So the fifth one, yung last, is you sustain or shitsuke. Parang shiitake mushroom. Shitsuke. Maintain and improve standards. So, meron ka ng protocol, so you maintain and improve it. Kailangan, nire-revisit mo siya. Meron din kayong, halimbawa, regular staff training to uphold that standard that you already made. So, parang, ang example niyan, halimbawa lang, no, nasa hospital kayo, may nangyaring incident. Halimbawa, paano bang isang incident? O kaya, nasunog yung balat ng bata sa IV. Parang nagkaroon ng IV burn ang isang pasyente. So, from that one, paano mo i-apply itong Kaizen, no? So, may nangyari. So, kailangan yung pag-usapan to. And then, kailangan mong gumawa ng protocol para hindi na uli mangyari. Pero kahit nagawa mo na yung mga protocol na yan, natapos na, kailangan mo pa rin may i-sustain yun. So, how will you sustain? Meron kang regular training para sa mga nurses mo, yung IV something, may lectures kayo nung gano'n. Hindi pwedeng naisulat mo na lang yung protocol, hindi na mauulit to kasi babantayan natin every something bago mag-push ng gamot, mag-aspirate muna. Kung wala, i-check mo talaga para hindi magkasudog. Kasi usually, na-out yun, binigay ang gamot, nagkakaroon ng burn. So, pag nagawa mo na yung protocol na yun, hindi porket may protocol na, tapos na yun. Meron ka pang training doon. That is Shitsuke, sustain. Alright? So, that is, in a nutshell, the Kaizen's approach. Okay. Third question, what are the 8 dimensions in quality assurance, and discuss each briefly. The 8 dimensions in quality assurance. Number 1 is safety. Avoiding harm to patients during care. Example, in surgery, sterile techniques in surgery. That is avoiding harm to patients. And second one is accessibility. Accessibility, one of the 8 dimensions in quality assurance. Patients can obtain care easily. Dapat, no, nagtatayo ka ng ospital, paano mo mapupuntahan, there should be an available 24/7 emergency service, no? If it's an ambulatory care, syempre, hindi siya 24 hours. Parang 8 hours lang siya. Parang day center lang siya. Parang center lang sa barangay, health center, no? But if you're going to build a hospital, kasama syempre doon ang may emergency service because that is part of the 5 services, functional services of the hospital. But this, we're talking about the dimensions in quality assurance. So, acceptability, number 3, is care. The care meets cultural and social expectation. Acceptable ba siya? Like, for example, sa OB, sa maternity case, in gender-sensitive services, no? Ngayon kasi may mga nurses naman lalaki, may mga nurses na babae, may mga doctor din na OB, but usually sa ating OB mga babae yung nagwo-work, no? Accepted na siguro ng society lalo kung nasa Metro Manila ka, lalaki yung OB mo. But sa mga ibang probinsya, even lalo na sa Muslim community, hindi pa nila accepted yun. So, yung gender sensitivity is very important. It's acceptability. And then the number 4, appropriateness. Services are evidence-based and ethical. Example of this is prescribing antibiotics only when needed. In big centers, no, even in small centers, lalo na ngayon, no, yung IPCC, pag hindi nila in-approve yung gamit. When we were resident, yung paggamit ng antibiotic, hindi mo pwedeng gamitin. When we were residents, pag gagamit ka ng mga third generation antibiotics, i-request mo pa yung gamit. You have to submit the clinical abstract of the patients. They will study it. Mabilis lang naman. Pag okay sa kanilang ibigay mo, bibigyan ka nila. Pwede mo i-prescribe. Pag hindi mo pwedeng i-prescribe. I think ganun pa rin naman ang practice sa PGH until now. No, Gerald? Ganun pa rin ba? Lalo na sa burn and sa... Ganun pa rin ba, Je?
Yes, sir. Kailangan ng antibiotic approval ng infection control.
Yeah. Thank you. Kasi 30 years na yata yung wala ako, hindi ko alam kung ganun pa rin. But here kasi ganun nasa hospital dito. Next is, number 5 is provider competence. This is ensuring our staff credentials and continuous education. Example, requiring training or CPD units for license renewal. This is provider's competence. No? And number 6 is efficiency. Optimizing resource use. Example is streamlining admission process. Or not just admission or discharge process. Di ba may mga hospital, isang araw bago ka ma-discharge. Order ng doktor ng umaga, gabi na. Hindi pa na-discharge. So we have to be efficient in these areas. No? Number 7 is effectiveness. Achieving desired health outcomes. Meaning nito. An example is reduce mortality in sepsis cases. May mga case na ganito na controversial case like what happened to our friend Iggy, orthopedic surgeon, no? He was accused of using a contaminated instrument na infect yung patient. So dinimanda siya, nakulong, and he died in prison. No? So achieving desired outcomes, yung reduce mortality in sepsis cases. Ito hindi naman namatay yung pasyente. I think morbidity lang, buhay naman yung pasyente if I'm not mistaken. But just the same, nakulong yung doktor, namatay pa siya sa loob na hindi pa tapos yung kaso, no? I think on appeal. Number 8, people-centered outcomes. Addressing patients' values and needs. So there should be personalized care plans. In other hospital, meron kang in Cardinal, no, I've experienced this, no, pag naging pasyente ka doon, kahit outpatient lang, merong i-assign sa yung patient coordinator or meron silang tawag, meron isang patient, just like in the US, ganun sa US pag pasyente ka, in private hospital sa public hospital ng US wala, but in private hospitals, just napapractice na rin dito sa Philippines, merong ka-assign sa yung isang tao na magko-coordinate sa'yo kung ano na gagawin, saan ka magbabayad, kumusta po kayo, yung mga ganun. So we practice it here. Itinawag namin siyang nurse coordinator sa emergency room lang. Hindi namin kaya sa OPD kasi ang OPD namin is nasa 200 average a day. Sa ER kaya pa namin, no, na merong nurse na coordinator doon. Nakakausap nila yung mga bantay at saka yung pasyente mismo. It lessen the anxiety of the the bantay. Nababawasan ng mga reklamo, no? So sila yung nagsasabi din sa bantay na yung ano po, yung patients niyo po nasa X-ray na, ina-X-ray lang po siya, tapos kukunan din po siya ng lab. Hintayin lang po natin, mga ganito po yung tatagal yan, 30 minutes hanggang 1 oras para hindi naiinip. Binabalikan nila yan. Pag natapos na, nakuha na po, nandyan na po siya, i-admitin po siya, sila yung nagsasabi nun. We call them nurse coordinator because nurse yung inassign namin doon. And then the last question, the fourth question is discuss the 4 cycles, step cycle in quality assurance and give examples. The 4-step quality assurance cycle is number 1 is plan. The second one is do. The third one is check. And the fourth one is act. So PDCA. Now, plan is you identify a problem and design a solution. Ito yung sinasabi ko kanina pag nakita kayo ng isang problema sa ospital, kahit na anong problema sa ospital, you design a solution for that, no? So, halimbawa, for example, is tumaas ang admission nyo. Sa amin lang, for example, hindi sa hospital, sanay kami sa admission nung luma pa yung hospital, 30 admission, 35 admission, pag nag-40, madami na. Eh ngayon ang admission tumaas, nag-70, 75, nagwa-100 pa siya. Yung high admission rate or sabihin na natin readmission rate, dapat mag-develop tayo ng discharge protocol. Yung admission, we cannot stop that. No? Pag sa hospital, maganda yun. Pag marami kang admission, marami kang income, marami kang trabaho. But if you have enough employees, okay lang yon kasi talagang na-compute mo na yan, ilang nurse, ilang doktor, ilang admin na taong kailangan mo. If you have kompletong ganyan, yung hospital bed mo, you have enough employee to work for the patients. So, hindi mo problema yun. Pero ang problema mo, how to develop. Kasi nga, biglang gano'n. Dati, sanay tayong konti, biglang dumami. So, ang problem is how to develop a discharge protocol para bumilis. Kasi dati, iaabutin ka talaga ng matagal bago paano mo padadaliin. Gagawa ka nun. So, plan, naka-identify ka ng problem, i-design na solution. Yung pagpasok, hindi pag-admit ng patient o yung pagdami ng patient, hindi problema yun. Kasama sa ospital yun kasi ginawa mo siyang 150 dapat meron kang pasyente. Pag sumobra pa doon, yan ang problema. Pero hindi ka pa naman sumosobra. Ang problema mo lang now, na na-identify mo, ang dami mong admission, paano mo siya i-discharge ng mabilis? So, yun ang gagawin ng protocol. And then D is do. You implement the solution. So, naka-design ka na ng solution doon sa plano mo, naka-identify ka ng problema, you design a solution. Kung may problema, may solution. And then you implement the solution. So, how do you do that? Halimbawa, meron ka nang nagawang bagong discharge checklist, di ba? Bago ma-discharge siya, ng haba ng checklist ng nurses. Kung may EMR na kayo o meron na kayong information system, mas madali. Kasi sa computer na lang siya. Kung wala, yung checklist niya, gagawin niya yun manually. So, you need training. You train the nurses on the new discharge checklist. Kasi pagdating sa billing, madali na yun eh. Papel na lang siya o nasa papeles na siya. Ang mahirap, yung gumagawa ng checklist sa nagdi-discharge from the ward. No? Sa billing, pinakamadali eh. Ready na siya. Computer na lang lahat. Tapos magkano, babayad na lang kung may babayaran. Okay, so magti-train ka talaga doon. So you implement that solution. And then later, the third one is check. So you monitor and evaluate the result. Tama ba yung ginawa namin solution, tinitrain na namin. So you track the admission rates over 3 months. Hindi porke tapos na, nagawa mo na, marana smoothly, dapat sinecheck mo yun. 3 months at the minimum. Pabayaan mo muna, wag muna 1 month. Baka, kasi remember, meron kayong lahat siguro ng bagong procedure, merong tawag dito, birth pains. Hindi basta lahat smooth na lang, no? So check mo, silipin mo siguro pag 1 month gusto mo, kung gusto mo makitang tama yung solution nyo. But the 3rd month, dun mo makikita kung perfect na siya. Pag hindi pa yun perfect, meron ka pang kailangan gawin. So, the last one is, di ba, yun ang checking. The last one is, you act. So, standardize successful practices or revise if needed. So, third month, nakita mo na, chinek mo, perfect na siya, then you standardize it. Isulat mo na, igawan mo na siyang memo. Ito na tayo, nag-practice na, sigurado na to. Kasi when you write it na prematurely, tapos ang daming mali, revise ka ng revise. Isisend mo na naman yun, nagagalit yung mga department mo, sabi nila, ganito gagawin, then ganito na naman. So, kailangan binibigyan mo siya ng time. No? So, you plan, do, check, and standardize. And act. You institutionalize, when you say act, institutionalize the discharge checklist hospital-wide na. No? Okay? So, the last question, yung fifth question is, enumerate 7 quality indicators in healthcare and discuss 3 indicators that have more impact in your own health facility and why. The 7 quality indicators are the number of beds and types of services. Number 2, level of treatment facility capability. Number 3, the hospital accreditation status. Number 4, electronic medical records, EMRs. Number 5, percentage of board-certified physicians. Number 6, mortality rate. And number 7, morbidity rate. So, ang require lang doon sa question is 3 impactful indicators in your own facility. So, for the purpose of this review, let's answer all the 7. No? Quality indicators are measurable elements of healthcare that reflect the performance outcomes and structure of health delivery. They help administrators tayo evaluate care quality and identify areas of improvements. Below itong 7 na to are key quality indicators commonly used in the hospital. Sasagutin natin as it was asked in the question. Ito yung para sa inyo, tingin mo ay mas pinaka-importante para sa'yo. The number of beds and types of services. This reflects the hospital capacity. Importante ito kasi sa amin, kung konti lang kasi dito, this reflects the hospital capacity to accommodate patients and the diversity of medical services it can offer. For example, kung may ICU, may surgery kami, may maternity, may pediatrics, the importance of this is it helps determine if the facility can handle volume surge like during pandemics, like naranasan natin ito, no? Or disaster. Example, a hospital with limited ICU beds may struggle during a critical care crisis. During the pandemic, ranas namin to. Nahirapan kami because we're a small hospital. Talagang umaapaw. Siguro naman kahit yung big hospital during that time, nahirapan din. More kaming nahirapan kasi nasa labas lang talaga. Hindi na namin sila ma-admit. As one of your classmates here I think inabot niya pa during she was graduating during residency. The Dr. Passion was here. Then the second one is the level of treatment facility capability. Hospitals are classified based on the service level, di ba? If you are an infirmary or level 1 or level 2 or level 3 or a medical center with training. Higher levels indicate more specialized services and equipment. The importance of this is it reflects the hospital ability to manage complex cases and provide comprehensive care. An example is a level 3 hospital has intensive care and specialty services not found in a level 1 hospital. No? So, and the third one, hospital accreditation and status. No? I remember we're talking about quality indicators. Yung status na accreditation by national or international bodies. There are hospitals that are accredited by only DOH and PhilHealth, but some have JCI accreditation. No? Yung mga big hospital natin, meron mga ganyan. It indicates compliance with safety, quality, and operational standards. So, kung meron tayo, kung yung quality indicators natin ito, lahat complied na gaganda, if only all the patients knows about this, doon ako pupunta sa lahat ito meron, no? Kasi yung indicators nila, gaganda, pasado. Kung hindi naman nakalagay ito, no? But these 7 indicators are very useful for administrators like us, no? Kung alam natin kung pangit ang ospital natin kasi alam mo yung accreditation ko nawala yung PhilHealth accreditation, something is wrong with that, no? Kasi meron kayong every year na isinasubmit sa kanila para ina-accredit nila kayo, especially the Department of Health. Pag meron kang hindi kulang doon, hindi ka ma-accredit. So, beforehand, siguro months before the renewal, sinagsasubmit ka na para binabalik nila sa'yo, meron kayong kulang na ganito, and they will check the hospital. No? So, accreditation encourages continuous improvement and eligibility for insurance reimbursements. Kasi kung hindi ka accredited sa government, yung PhilHealth, so paano ka magkaka-PhilHealth? Doon manggagaling ang funds mo. Sa mga private naman, yung insurance naman, yung mga HMO, kailangan accredited hospital ka. Kasi some HMO, kahit yung doktor accredited, ginawa niya sa isang hindi accredited na hospital, hindi ka pa rin mababayaran. So the hospital itself should be accredited. So the fourth one is the use of EMRs or electronic medical records or prescription ordering system. Digital records streamline access to patient's history, reduce error, and enhance coordination. The importance of EMRs, it improved efficiency, it support data analysis, and reduce the redundant testing. An example is in EMR system, plug niya yung na double entry, yung drug allergies kasama rin doon, nandun na rin yung uubos na yung gamot, kung meron kayong mga EMR, the laboratories, nandun na sa lahat, parang ang isang hospital, pag may EMR, parang alam mo na yan, no, na very efficient itong hospital na to kasi dumadali yung even sa discharges, madali nilang hindi na sila nagsusulat-sulat, dadalhin ng isang orderly, bababa din yung sulat. Ito po yung na pwedeng burahin, pwedeng magkamali, or pwedeng magkamali yung sulat. But kung nasa ward lang, pinapasok na lang nila, even sa billing, pinapasok nila yung services, CBC to, sa laboratory, diretso na yung pumapasok sa billing. Na kung may EMR dito sa isang hospital and the hospital information system, sigurado mo efficient yung hospital. No? So number 5, percentage board certified physician. This measures the proportion of physicians who are certified in their specialty, reflecting competency and current knowledge. The importance of this, board certified doctors tend to follow update guidelines and evidence-based practice. A hospital with high percentage of certified specialists ensures safer and more accurate care. And then the next one is the mortality rate. This is the rate of patients' death within the hospital, often tracked by the department or by diagnosis. The importance of this is, while not always avoidable, high mortality rates may indicate lapses in care, delayed treatment, or system failures. No? In this hospital, admittedly in 2019 when I was new here and as I only newly hired, the first one I check is the mortality rate. According to the Department of Health, 1% or less, yun lang acceptable mortality rate. But in this hospital, sad to say, it's 8 or I forgot it was in 2019 when I checked it, 8% ang sakit isipin. That's why we were branded as a Mona Lisa hospital. You lie there and die there, sabi niya. So, but now we're happy to na less than 1 point something kami. Nandun pa kami sa 1 point something. So tumaas na gumanda na yung mortality rate namin. Meaning yung itong indicator na to, gumaganda yung aming practice, no, yung aming services, gumanda na yung pag napababa mo yon. So the next one, yung last one is morbidity rate. Dito rin ang taas ng morbidity rate before, no, this refers to the incidence of hospital acquired condition or complications during treatment. The importance of morbidity rate, so pag high morbidity rate may reflect poor infection control, inadequate monitoring, or procedural errors. Na-experience din namin yan, at tinik-chinek yung bakit ang taas ng morbidity rate ng hospital na to. Yung pala, pag sinabi ni IPCC na gagawa, ang IPCC kasi halimbawa when meron siyang nakitang bacteria sa isang area na identify nila na meron itong kumakalat at sabihin niya, lilinisin to, sasara to, and they will close it for 48, 72 hours or whatever, or 24 hours. And hihingi ka pa rin ng approval hanggang sa director bago mo gawin yon. Siyempre, tama naman. Pero pagdating sa director, sasabihin ng director, hindi na, 8 hours, and linisin nyo lang, tapos buksan nyo na agad. I do not know why that. Ganun ang ginagawa before. So, parang hindi na-empower yung IPCC. So, what I did when we, empower namin sila, pag sinabi ni IPCC natin yan, pumagsak talaga yung aming morbidity rate. Ang ganda. Halos wala. I mean, talagang ang ganda nung nangyari. Basta alam ni IPCC yung work nila. Pag hindi mo sila in-empower, ikaw din ang halimbawa as the director, kasi nga very powerful ka as a director. Pag sinabi mo, siguro iniisip nila, mababawasan yung revenue, mawawala ng beds para gamitin. Yun nga lang ang taas ng morbidity rate. Kaya hindi gumaganda yung hindi lang image, talaga yung datos, yung data na nakukuha namin. So ngayon, it improved a lot now. So monitoring these 7 indicators allow healthcare administrator to implement targeted improvements by addressing the gaps. You can promote the patient safety and operational efficiency and higher satisfaction among patients and staff. Okay, I think that's about it. Pang 5th question na ba yan? Oh, tama. Pang 5th question yan. So, any question? Oh, yan. 11:55. May 5 minutes, ha? Hanggang 11 lang tayo, di ba? Any question? Kung wala na, good luck na. Happy Sunday na.
Thank you po.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you
Good luck
po,
sa
Doc.
exam nyo, ha?
Thank you,
ano
sir.
na lang, mag-review nyo lang ng gusto yung questions, tapos mag-answer. Gumawa na kayo ng answer nyo kasi hindi kayo pwede mag-copy-paste. I-type nyo na, tapos i-retype nyo na lang siya sa when you answer the questions. Okay?
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you. Pag may question kayo, padala kay Esther Will. I will try to answer it. Okay? Bye-bye.
Thank you, sir.
Bye-bye.
Thank you po.
Thank you, everyone. Good luck. God bless you.